Oh, man. Yow! You talk jacked, packed, and stacked. Today's Amped Up Thursday, February 20th, 2025. It is a big show that we got for you today. And I'm not talking, well, not a Paul White, a legit big show. We're going to talk AEW Dynamite coming up, guys. So if you saw the show last night, you want BC's thoughts. Maybe you didn't see the show and you want BC to kind of rap on it. I will give you my honest, amplified thoughts on Dynamite last night. I caught the show, did my due diligence, got my ducks in a row, my notes are ready to rock. Is it all doom and gloom, like Bischoff says, right? The toilet bowl of the pro wrestling world. Is there no hope for AEW? Well, that's a big reason I wanted to catch last night's show, because I wanted to see, is there no hope? Is it doom and gloom? Is it the worst wrestling show I've ever seen in the history of pro wrestling? Not so fast, Bischoff. Clearly, Eric Bischoff has not seen the last days of WCW. Clearly, Bischoff has not caught a Monday Night Raw recently, or in the last 10 years. We'll talk Dynamite, man. I might have a different take than what many are claiming in the community. Also coming up, we got Goldberg telling us when his next and most likely final match is going to be. Goldberg has told us when his next match is for WWE. We'll go over it. We'll talk about it, what it means. And we're also going to talk more, unfortunately for WWE, more specifically the Red Brand Raw. More bad news for Raw. As Wade Barrett would say, I'm afraid I got some bad news. Monday Night Raw, Netflix receives even more bad news. We'll talk about it. And the big story that we are going to kick off with is the women's division in WWE frustrated, not just with the booking or lack thereof for WrestleMania, but the fact they don't even know what they are in the company. And it's exactly what BC has been telling you. Every single review, nearly every upload, one of the biggest issues that Hunter Helmsley has as a creator, as a chief of content, chief of creative, and chief of talent. He's declared himself this tribal chief of all things WWE, yet the talent doesn't even know what they are. BC, exactly what do you mean? Glad you asked. We're going to talk about it. We're going to kick off with that story. A huge story broke by Sean Ross Sapp, sourced by somebody within the company, an individual, a talent, a female wrestler that gave an exact quote. So we're going to talk about it, man. And this has to be fixed. This is a detriment to WWE, and every other organization cannot follow what Hunter is doing, because this is the only outcome. The talent will be confused, the talent will be frustrated, and then you have bigger issues than there's just the fans being confused, just the fans being frustrated at this type of booking. That's all I'm giving you. I'm giving a little too much as it is in this cold open teaser. We'll go over it, man. We're going to kick off with that story. I told you. Packed, jacked, stacked, a big show coming up. I'm going to down this. I am going to take you guys to an opening signature. That's how big this show is. So I can just down my Starbucks double shot, triple pump pistache latte. And then I'm going to make a whole new coffee. Maybe a Dunkin'. No, I'll start with Folgers. We'll do a Folgers. The best spot of waking up. It's Folgers in your cup. Folgers, it's in your motherfucking cup. So I'm going to down my double shot, triple pump pistache latte. I'm going to make a brand new Folgers. You guys are going to come right back from the opening signature. We're going to talk all these stories and more. I told you it's a pumped up, amped up 44 dive. We rolling. Let's do this. There you go. Folgers has graduated to the next tier, the next platform. Starbucks is now retired. This double shot, triple pump pistache latte has now been retired. He'll go into the Hall of Fame. It's time for the spotlight to be on the Folgers. All right, one of those mornings. All right, let's do this. A lot of good stuff to go over, man. Like I said, Goldberg announcing when his next matchup is. Raw receives some more bad news. News that Netflix did not want to give out. I don't even think they did. We just caught it. And we'll also talk AEW. I have a lot to say about All Elite Wrestling Dynamite, man. Can't wait to talk that a little bit later in today's show. I hope you guys got your beverages. There is a good chance this is going about an hour, if not more, today, man. BC's amped up. I got a good 90 minutes at least. So, yeah, that's a sizable window for this podcast, for this upload. All right, let's do this, man. The big story. Oh, do I have a lot to say about this? This was broken by Fightful. I believe more specifically from Sean Ross, but Fightful delivers this story about the women's division. And I quote, frustrated. Let's get into it. Let me give you the quote from this story, and then we'll talk about it. This is a quote. I have spoken with plenty of women in WWE who are frustrated about the booking. This is not a new thing. A women's performer has reached out to me and said, dude, can you find out if I'm listed internally as a heel or a babyface? And I'm like, damn, okay. I know there have been rejected Mania pitches because talent does not want to do token tag matches. End quote. There was more to this as well, elaborating, but this is the bulk of the actual news story that I would like to discuss. There's so much to go over in this lengthy paragraph, but I want to start right with the meat of it. A women's performer has reached out to me and said, dude, can you find out if I'm listed internally as a heel or a face? When I first come across that, I'm thinking, oh, as a joke. They're still serious, right? The talent is telling you, dude, this is such a joke backstage. We don't know what we are. So they're joking with Sean Ross or whichever Fightful individual broke this story. Right? They're just playing around. Can you find out if I'm a heel or a face? Ha ha. But Sean Ross says his reply was, damn, okay. Like, there was no bullshit. They're asking, like, dude, can you find out what I am? Because I'm getting no answers. And if you look at my booking, it's a cluster. It makes no sense. It's a cluster of confusion. But that's everybody on the roster. The talent is telling you. They don't know if they're a face or a heel. Guys, what have we been preaching for the longest of times on this channel? In the reviews, I always tell you guys, right, you're going to get the most honest review on this channel of any show that is on. If I catch the show and I do a review, I will always promise you're going to get the most honest review. I don't have an agenda. I don't have a narrative. I don't have a shtick. There's no obligations. I'm not trying to get employment with one of the companies or on anybody's good side. It's just honesty. I'm trying to make pro wrestling great again is the funny tagline that we use. Just make pro wrestling great again, right? Larger than life epic characters and larger than life epic captivating storylines. Feuds that we can't wait to hand over our credit card, type that in and get that PLE pay-per-view subscription service. Feel something on Monday nights again, Friday nights, Wednesday nights, Tuesday nights, when we watch a wrestling show, actually feel something, not just 2 minutes into the show, start yelling, this is awesome, because they stopped wrestling for 2 seconds and ADD kicked in and the crowd feels like they have to do something. So 2 minutes into a match, they start screaming, this is awesome. It's 2 minutes. It's Tozawa versus R-Truth. Relax. But this is what we do these days. We're paying 10 times the amount to go to a show than we were just a few years ago, so they just want to participate. They're ready to yeet for 25 minutes and do Seth Rollins' sing-along for 20 minutes. The participation era. Fan participation era. But nothing's truly captivating, right? We watch these shows Monday nights, Friday nights. It's all redundant. Nothing's meaningful. Nothing is must-see for the following week. And it starts with the booking, the creative, and in WWE's case, the lack thereof. We have been telling you guys every single, and not just BC, it's when we do the live streams and those in the chat are like, yes, why are more fans not waking up or raising their bar, raising their standards, and questioning this bullshit booking? Heels versus heels nonstop. Faces versus faces nonstop. To the point where a face can't truly become what they're destined to be because they're just facing another face. You're splitting your audience. So one face is going to outface the other face, or you're just going to get no reaction because the fans are confused. Even worse when you do a heel versus a heel. One heel's going to out-heel the other heel. I always give the Gunther Bronson Reed when they were both heels. Gunther out-heeled Bronson, so then they try to make it sympathetic. Keep the camera on Bronson, the crowd will start cheering for him. No, nobody cared. You could have heard a pin drop. So that backfired. You're going to have a heel out-heel a heel, or even worse, nobody's going to care. It'll be absolutely dead silent. Like what happened with Roxanne Perez, Roxy versus Raquel this past Monday. You don't have to look any farther than this past Monday to look at Triple H's bizarre, stupid, pathetic, unacceptable booking of his talents. Ivy versus Dakota. The winner takes on Val for Val's newly won IC title. So what does Hunter do? He has Dakota beat the heel Ivy. So now it's Dakota versus Val for the IC championship. The problem is we've already seen that match. Even worse, it's face versus face. Why would you not have had the heel take on Val? Because Val, who's just really starting to come into her own, you're trying to make fans care about Val, and she has this title as a face. So don't you want to give her a good heel to work with? A good face, a face that is going to be anything in any company, needs a good heel to work with. Hunter should be the first one to tell you this. He was a big heel in the company. He knows damn well that Vince McMahon would have never booked him like this. Hunter would have never become the cerebral assassin that he became if Vince McMahon booked him like trash, like Hunter is booking his talents. But instead of giving Val a viable heel to work with so Val's face status can improve and gain some momentum, especially with that newly won IC championship, instead of giving her a heel, he gives her a face in a match we've already seen. And then you wonder why there's no buzz to this. Why literally nobody was talking about this after Dakota won. Nobody cares. Heel versus heel. Roxanne Perez, one of the, JR9 said it best recently in a live stream, the biggest heel for the ladies in NXT. She comes to the main roster and goes right into a heel versus heel match with Raquel. It was actually a good match. If you're just flicking by, you would have never known it by the crowd. The crowd, dead silent. Crowd did not care. It was that worst case scenario I was telling you about. You're either going to out-heel the other heel, or you're just going to confuse everybody to the state of not caring. You're not going to hear any buzz. Nobody's going to say anything. You're basically watching golf or tennis at that point. Not a professional wrestling show or match. Roxanne Perez was thrown in her debut against another heel, and nobody cared. You have Gunther as a heel shaking hands with Randy Orton after talking all this crap, shaking hands with Cody Rhodes. As a heel, Io is taking on Rhea. What is it, next week? Rhea's next big match, the one they're promoting, is with another face. Why would you do that to Rhea? Split her audience. Why would you do that to Io? Why are we seeing Io and Rhea just to get to what Hunter's probably going to do? Add Io into whatever match Rhea's going to be in, make it another triple threat. You're going to see nothing but schmaz matches at Mania. Io and Rhea, face versus face. It's nonstop. Before you got Owens and Cody as a heel, Owens as a heel versus face Cody, you guys got Cody versus Owens as good buddies. And after their match, they shook hands and hugged it out. You remember, it was just a few PLEs ago. Then Hunter said, dude, I kind of want to keep doing these matches, so let's turn Owens heel. The women's roster is frustrated and they don't know what they are, face or heel. They're asking journalists what they are because Hunter is not giving them any answers. Sound familiar? Baron Corbin got released. Many individuals, Dijak, all of these releases. And Hunter never told him what was up. In fact, Dijak, Baron Corbin, all these individuals have one thing in common. Right before they were fired, released, or their contracts not renewed, right beforehand, days or a few weeks before, Hunter walked up to them and said, "Be proud of yourself. You've accomplished a lot." Right? Those are the words in any company. If you hear, you're pretty much fired. And then Hunter never, and they say, well, we always believed that Hunter stood up for us because he always gave us the hoorah, Papa H speeches. He always made us believe that he's in our corner. But then when we got released, we have no answers. They get nothing. And Hunter's just like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything. What? You got released? Oh, I didn't even realize it. Yes, Chief of Talent, Creative, and Content didn't have any say in this at all. Ari Shapiro and Nick Khan made these decisions, and then afterwards went to H and went, dude, we had to release some of your talent. I know this is what you're in control of, but finances. So it's our department. So we released it. We're letting you know now. We're not going to tell you why. And we'll see you at the meeting next Tuesday. You think that's on it? You think Hunter had no idea these people were getting released or as to why? You think he wasn't in the initial discussions? You think Ari and all them just cut his talent and he has no idea what's going on, or he can't pick up a phone afterwards and let Baron and Dijak and Cameron Grimes and so many others know why they got released? Or could it be that Hunter is telling them everything they want to hear to their face, and then when they turn around, sledgehammer to the dome piece? It's what's happening. They're telling you this. The women are in that locker room and they don't know what they are, face or heel, because Hunter's booking/creative is absolute garbage. And you can try time and time again to get fans to realize that and raise their standards and bar, right? Why do you feel like this product is not where it should be? Why does WrestleMania season not feel like WrestleMania season? Why does the product seem like it and feel like it's trash? Maybe because it is. But we don't have to convince fans anymore. The talent is now speaking out. And it sounds like it's an entire division. You think it's just a few? Again, this report says, and I quote, I have spoken with plenty, this is a quote, I have spoken with plenty of women in WWE who are frustrated. One told me legit straight out, can you find out if I'm internally listed as a heel or a face? Because I don't know. To where, I believe it was Sean Ross who said, damn, okay. Like, that's not even a joke. Like, I'll see what I can do. They don't know what they are. And even if it was, even if it ended up being like a joke, there's a meaning behind it, right? The joke didn't come from anywhere. They don't know what they are. They don't. It was probably Roxanne Perez, Roxy. That was like, dude, it's good to be on the main roster. I had a good, but can you I just listened to BC's podcast, and he's kind of right. Like, the crowd was silent. I know I put on a good match. BC said I put on a good match. The crowd was absolutely dead. I don't know exactly what I am right now. I tried to ask Hunter, and Hunter's not telling us anything, and I don't know. Sean Ross, Fightful, somebody. Let me know, man. Let me know. Frustrated. And it's not just they don't know if they're a heel or a face because the booking is so awkward, and it's sabotage at this point. Hunter's doing this on purpose. He knows. He's just sending wrestlers out there to have wrestling matches. He doesn't care if they're heels or faces. He doesn't even follow that anymore. He doesn't even follow the good guy, bad guy, hero, villain, face, heel. He doesn't even do it. It's just wrestlers and wrestling matches. Go out there with your tights, have a match. Doesn't matter what you are. Afterwards, just shake hands. But Hunter, I'm supposed to be a heel. Not anymore. Shake hands. Mutual respect era. Just shake hands. Afterwards. This is all just random wrestling matches now. It's the oddest thing. Pro wrestling will never survive that way. This isn't amateur wrestling. This isn't even boxing. It's not UFC. You have to have larger than life storylines, epic feuds, and culminating storylines that we actually want to pay for and see, and it has to feel fresh, and we have to get behind people. Fans will always be fickle, no doubt, and will always change with the times and the winds of change, of course. There'll be bad guys that we end up cheering, no doubt. There'll be faces that the company is pushing, and we're like, dude, it ain't working. That's always going to be the case. But we still need the general foundation to which pro wrestling was built upon, and that is good guy, bad guy, heel versus face. You still need that. You still have to implement that. And I don't know what Hunter is not understanding. Everything has went backwards in terms of metrics. You can get all of the record revenue and tout that all you want. I just went over this again in yesterday's upload, man. All the other metrics are down. 40% in merchandise sales, even with the Yeet Master. Ratings for cable are down with SmackDown on USA. Netflix, we're about to go over the dire numbers that they're pulling in. And that's sad to see, man, because they got to wait another... They just started a few months ago. So basically 5 full years before they pull the parachute and get out of that situation that they're in with WWE. Netflix is stuck. They made a bad deal. We'll go over that. All the metrics are down. Record revenue, because you're getting all this money from other countries and you got the $5 billion from Netflix. That's one thing. When that dries up because the fans are no longer there, that eventually is going to happen. And Hunter falls back on what? Zero creativity. The same type of trash booking that has made fans go away in droves. It's time that we stop the honeymoon phase. It's been a couple of years now. We can all just admit the truth. Hunter Helmsley sucks at creative and booking. A different position. He loves the spotlight, so become a manager. You can still hold an office job in Stamford, Connecticut, too. I'm not saying he can't contribute to the business in different ways, or that he doesn't have insight on the business, but he's not good at creative. He's not good at booking. Guys, a division is pissed off. Do you think it's just the women? Do you honestly think all the dudes are just happy with their booking right now? Do you think the roster is happy with WrestleMania? Listen to this report. I know there have been rejected Mania pitch. The talent is rejecting offers, or trying to anyway, because they just don't want to do token tag matches, because that's what Hunter's going to fall back on, because he has no real plans. So last minute, it's already less than 8 weeks away, less than 2 months. Mania is less than 2 months away, so it's already last minute in terms of storytelling. You have nothing. You have Charlie Flair going for another title, and you have Yeet Master going for a championship against Gunther. That's it. That's all you really got. Last minute, you're going to get a bunch of multi-person schmaz matches, a bunch of tag matches with a bunch of tag teams in those tag matches, an Andre the Giant Battle Royal, a fatal 8-way tag match. You'll get all of it. And I'm proud of the ladies for going, dude, enough. And this uproar probably started when Charlie came back. And I'm not saying this is against Charlie, but it's against the booking. They've been busting their asses. Charlie comes back and boom. There she is in the Mania sub-main event. Going for the title and most likely capturing it for her 14th or 15th championship. The fact that Charlie Flair is right up there with Jonathan Cena and Randy Orton, if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what would. So the women's division is finally standing up, frustrated, and they don't even know if they're a face or a heel. We've been talking about that unit. You know that. Just goes to show you everything that we talk about ends up coming out with the talent soon after. Because we're just calling it logic and common sense. You don't even have to be a mastermind in the business to talk about what we discuss. It's what we're viewing. It's what we're seeing. I tell you guys all the time, this type of booking is detrimental to the talent before anything else. Forget the fans being bored of redundancy and it just doesn't make sense and we're confused. The talent, first and foremost, it is detrimental. Because this type of booking doesn't benefit anybody. You have to have faces and heels. And I'm so glad that this division, that WWE Talent, is finally going, dude, enough. Hunter talks a big game to our face, and he's Papa H, and he gives us the hoorah speeches, and most of the fans have all bought into his shit stew. But we're no longer being served it. We don't want to eat it. We're seeing through the bullshit now. It doesn't feel like Mania season for the fans. We've been saying that. The talent is now telling you that. Can you book them better? They're asking you. Can you at least allow us to know what we are as a character, a face or a heel? Damn, what a powerful story. Probably one of the biggest stories we'll do all year. No doubt. This is already done. What am I doing? You're retired, Starbucks. Folgers time. That's it. That's all I need to say about that, man. That was a lot. I don't want to speak in circles. I want to mic drop it right there. Food for thought, something to seriously ponder. How bad it's gotten that the talent this close to Mania is frustrated and they don't even know what they are. Character-wise. Hunter won't tell him anything. Hunter doesn't even know. Moving on. Goldberg. Goldberg has now told us when his last match is. And you know what? You're going to have to wait a little longer for that. Because first, I want to talk. We might as well keep going with this. Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Even more. Wade Barrett bad news for Monday Night Raw. Let's talk about that first. Well, man, that's a good coffee. That's a damn good coffee. That has to be a triple sip. So, Monday Night Raw got some more bad news. If you guys didn't catch the upload yesterday, I know it went out really late. It was an NXT review. Thank you guys for catching that, showing that the support and love. So we reviewed NXT. We went over some other stories as well. Eric Bischoff and what he's talking about AEW. I'm sure we'll go over that even more when we go over AEW Dynamite in just a little bit. And we also talked Michael Cole opening up about the Corey Graves situation and literally calling it a strange situation. And he is pretty much putting the blame over on Hunter. We know it's only one of two or both. Cole and Hunter. Cole runs the commentators and Hunter is directly the chief of all the talent. And Cole washed his hands and he said, no, it's him. So we talk all about that in yesterday's upload. So if you haven't caught it, guys, make sure you check it out. But I said in that upload, we were talking about Raw and how bad the numbers are. Like while WWE touts record revenue, all the other metrics are down and Raw is no different. In fact, the global audience started nearly 6 million viewers. And this was just a few weeks ago they started, right? January 6th, maybe? So a little over a month ago. They started with 6 million. 5.9 and a half, so about 6. Within 1 week, they were pretty much chopped in half. 3 point some odd, 3-1, 3-2. Here we are. They are now at a 2.8 global audience. 2.8 from nearly 6 million. That is more than half the audience lost in less than 2 months during WrestleMania season. So it's not people just don't have Netflix or don't have a Roku or a way to stream. They did. 6 million did up front. And immediately everyone went, nope, this ain't that much different. The only difference is more advertisements on the ring, around the ring, and more commercials somehow on streaming. Go figure. And here we are. The last metric we got was a 2.8 some odd globally. Domestically, U.S. domestic, the number is 1.2. That's what they believe. Could it be 1.3? Yes, there is no finality because Netflix will not release the actual number. These are thankfully really smart numbers, people, that cracked it to a 1.2. It could be a 1.3, but it also could be a 1.1. So it could be lower. So we're putting this at a 1.2. If that holds up, then you're looking at what they used to pull on cable, 1.5 to 1.6, which is horrible. You guys know that from what they used to pull. I don't want to hear cord cutting or there was a big football game or it's a playoff or it's a holiday. No, a 1.5, 1.6 average is horrendous on cable television. Now they're pulling a 1.2 as a new average domestically. So they've lost 300,000 to 400,000 viewers from moving to Netflix. That's what I mean. That revenue that they're touting to be record revenue and the finances are just flowing in. When fans start going away, that revenue will stop. The countries will stop paying you tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. You'll run out of countries that actually want to pay you or roll out the red carpet for a PLE to come to their country. It's not going to happen. Conglomerates like Netflix, Fox, USA, NBC Universal, they're not going to pay you billions for your product anymore. Netflix took a gamble. They were not going to pull that if Netflix didn't give them that deal, but Netflix took a massive gamble. They want to dabble into live events. You saw that with Mike Tyson and Jake Paul and other events. They're bringing football to it. This is the gamble here. This is how they made that $5 billion. And here they are at a 1.2 domestic in less than 2 months during WrestleMania season. Globally. A 2.8 globally. They should have been pulling in 2.5 to 3.0 bare minimum on cable, by the way. So a 2.8 should be their normal every week if business was truly booming and the product was the best that it should and could be, but they're not pulling in that 2.8. That's globally. Globally. The world is giving them a 2.8. That's not even all the bad news. That's just kind of what we went over yesterday, and I'm just kind of amplifying the subject. Guys, the actual bad news is, I mean, as if that's not bad enough. The more, Wade Barrett, I'm afraid I got some bad news, is that I believe this was the first week this happened. So this is just a sign of more. This is just the first of many weeks where this is probably going to happen, where WWE did not even place number 1 in the top 10 the next day. WWE did not even place number. You would think it's the live event, at least for 24 hours, it would have been number 1 in their top 10 the next day, right? I mean, that's what it was for the first several weeks. Guys, this was the first time where it didn't even land in number 1. Didn't even land in the number 1 spot for Netflix. They paid billions for this. The numbers have went down that drastically. You're already out of the top spot. If only somebody was being honest and calling this from the beginning, maybe we'd be better. Oh, wait. We were. The Amplified unit was honest on every single Monday Night Raw review. Were we not? Some people probably came across the channel, thought it was too harsh, uber negative, be more positive, just enjoy wrestling, all this other stuff. And I'm like, we're trying. To do that, we have to be honest, right? The product has to get better for us to be captivated. We don't want to just enjoy pro wrestling. We want to be captivated by it. So they have to do their part so that we can happily give our money and happily be invested into this product. That's what we're trying to achieve. We're not just being negative just to hear ourselves talk. We'd love to be more positive. We need good shit on our television or on the Netflix, the streaming, the PLEs. This is what we're trying to. This is why the channel is in existence. This is why we have these discussions. This is why we are so brutally amplified honest with all of these shows, because it always ends up being validated. If we do these reviews and we're ripping the shows apart and all of a sudden the numbers come out and they're just amazing, right? Numbers are through the roof. Every metric is up, right? SmackDown is up on cable. Netflix their numbers are up. Merchandise sales is up and not down 40% with the Yeet Master. No, they're down. Everything we talk about, when the facts come out to the world, it is the truth. Right? If we say this week after week, month after month, year after year, and the facts state otherwise, well then, of course, we wouldn't have to have these discussions. I'd just be wrong. We're always right. And we don't even give ourselves the pat on the back because we don't want to be any, but we want to. I would love to just say, you know what? This is just how I feel about it in the unit, but I see what the rest, okay. You know what I mean? Like we're just seeing it differently and we're wrong. Sometimes I just would love to say that, like, maybe it's just us. And then the numbers come out, and then the facts are distributed, and we're right. The talent is frustrated. They don't know if they're heels or faces. Everyone feels like it's not WrestleMania. It doesn't feel like WrestleMania season. Monday Night Raw makes no sense. It's not compelling, captivating television. The numbers come out. They show you a drastic drop. Everything we talk about, when the facts come out, mic drop. The unit was right every single time. If we were wrong every time, I would just back it up. Thanks for the support. Been awesome the last several years. Deuces, check you. You know what I mean? Salute. No. It's because the foundation of our conversations is from logic and common sense. And then we sprinkle in the knowledge, right? Then we sprinkle in the intuition that we do have and go into the history books or crack open the statistics or the numbers and the metrics. But before we even do all of that, we just talk logic and common sense, man. Just what we're watching, what we're viewing, what we're hearing, what we're feeling or not feeling. And we talk about it. And that's why all the metrics are down right now. So when they try to tell you business is booming, they mean financially for them. And there's reasons for that. Vince McMahon cashed out. WWE as a company is cashing out. And now they're trying they're taking all their PLEs, going to other countries that never really had them, so they're going to pay more money. Netflix took a huge gamble. There's $5 billion. Yeah, revenue has been booming for years. Look at all the other metrics that have a direct line to the fans themselves, and all of them are down. That's what we've been talking about, man. And there's no, and if you know that, and if you understand that, and the conversations that we have, then this is not shocking to anybody that they didn't rate in the number one spot and that they've lost more than half of their viewers in just less than 2 months. But Hunter was cooking the whole time. You don't hear that often anymore. More and more fans are going, this doesn't feel like Mania. That was a confusing, weird, just a bizarre Raw. Is Hunter good? Why is he bringing in, you didn't know? Another old-time DX buddy in his 50s. I mean, it's becoming a retirement home. What's up with Hunter? You know, more and more fans are now starting to realize it. They're waking up. They're realizing it. They're going, BC was right, man, all along. I got to raise my bar, raise my standards, because this is not Mania. And I'm so glad the talent is doing that. Monday Night Raw, guys, dropped out of that number one spot. So Netflix is just, and that's why a big reason they don't like to release numbers. Because when it's goes awry and they spend so much money, they don't want to talk about it. But they're going to demand change, I assure you. Netflix is not going to roll over like USA would do or even Fox. Netflix, they'll change things in a heartbeat if it's not working. I look for changes within Netflix, demanding change from WWE in the near future. I'm not even joking, guys. Netflix is not going to play around with this type of garbage. Let's move on. Goldberg gave us a date, man, or not the exact date, but he's telling us when his most likely final match is going to be. It's an interesting time period that he gave us. So Goldberg is talking about, I'll give you an exact quote. Goldberg says, I have a match this summer. I don't exactly know when it is, but I know it's coming up. Well, if you have a calendar, then yes. If you know it's summer, then yes, you would know it's coming up. Goldberg used to bash his dome piece on doors and walls, so he kind of says the same thing in different ways. But he says, I know it's coming up. I have a match this summer. So I know the first instinct we're having is SummerSlam, right? Makes the most sense. This summer is all WWE told him. Most likely SummerSlam. But we have to find out when that crown jewel is. Isn't there an event either like around SummerSlam or like right after, like into the fall? So maybe right after summer. October, November, maybe there's like a Crown Jewel or a Saudi Arabia event. Or even if they told them summer, they could push them to Saudi. Give them a little bit extra more money. They'll give somebody like Goldberg, he's gotten $1 million payday before. Brock Lesnar, stars like that literally get $1 million paycheck for that one show, guys. That's a true story. Goldberg receives $1 million every time he goes to Saudi. So I'm sure he'll say yes to it. Maybe Hunter and WWE feels that will be a big enough attraction with a few other names, and that'll make Saudi happy. Or do they have him go over to SummerSlam? I mean, you wouldn't need Goldberg to sell SummerSlam. I don't know how much more value Goldberg even has. He's in his mid-50s at least, right? Or late. I think he's like 58. He's an older dude who always had a small repertoire in terms of wrestling anyway, moves anyway. He's had a couple 2 or 3 moves, right? Spear, a jackhammer, a kick that you really want to stay away from because he doesn't know how to pull it. And a lot of times he knocks himself out before the match even starts, so you have to hope that he's even, the lights may be on, but maybe no Goldberg is home. You got to make sure that Goldberg's rocking on all. It's rough to face Goldberg. There's so many things you have to be wary of, and that sucks to say about a wrestler who has to go into a match like that. But that's Goldberg, and especially when the dude doesn't wrestle for years and then comes back, and it could be reckless, man. That's one of the rare times you'll hear Undertaker talk about how bad a match was and how frustrated he was. That was in Saudi, I believe, when Goldberg knocked himself out before the match, hitting his head on the door. And he almost dropped Undertaker on his dome piece like 3 times in that match. But this summer, that could mean a lot of things. I'm guessing SummerSlam, or it's going to be like one of those Crown Jewel Saudi events. So if you guys have a different date that you would think would fit Goldberg better, or what you believe it is, it's going to be interesting anyway, man. Goldberg isn't needed. How will he be received? This definitely, I think we all agree this has to be the last. This is the last hurrah, though, right? I mean, we can't keep doing this, guys, because it's losing its luster every single time, to the point where now I'm like, will it even hold any weight? Putting him in there with a Braun Breaker or a Strowman again, or having him annihilate a Tozawa even. Is it going to muster any care? A lot of the old-time audience has already stepped away because the product is that bad. They're really depending on the kids that are coming up, kids dragging their families out. They're not going to know Billy Goldberg. So it's just going to be interesting. Interesting conversation. I thought that was a very interesting thing for Goldberg. I don't think he thought it was going to blow up like that. Like, oops, I don't think WWE wanted me to do that. Actually, he didn't even specifically say WWE, did he? I don't believe in this quote. So that could leave speculation, right? No, it's Tony Khan that's bringing him back. No, I definitely, he already said, like, he spoke to WWE, and they did confirm that he will do one more match, which is what Vince had already promised him, and he was pissed off because Vince, not by his own accord, he got kind of, he got booted from the weeds. So Goldberg was pissed. He's like, come on, somebody give me my last match. Well, finally, it looks like they're going to give it to him this summer, is what Goldberg says. Should we do some All Elite Wrestling? Huge swig of coffee. Let's get into AEW Dynamite, man. I have a lot to say about this show because a lot of people say it's doom and gloom. It's the toilet bowl of the pro wrestling world. It's got no hope. It'll never be anything. It's too far gone. A lot of this coming from the Bischoffs in the community. So BC had to watch himself. And when I was done watching Dynamite, I have a completely different view than the Bischoffs have about All Elite Wrestling, telling BC that this is more of a shtick, a narrative, an agenda from these Bischoffs in the community than anything else. Because what I saw, a lot of parts, way better than what I saw on Monday night from a company that's been around for decades. Let's talk about it. I'm going to get some coffee. We'll talk all about it. All right, so Dynamite, 2/19/25, MJF and Hangman Page in a really good back-and-forth promo kicks us off. They're verbally going at it and taking some low jabs at one another, but the whole time you got a sense that they also hold respect for one another. Just the way their line delivery was being catapulted, the way they waited for the response, the way they were kind of vibing off one another. It was like, yeah, there's that animosity, but there's also this underlining respect. Just made it that much better. Speaking of better, MJF had the line of the segment easily. MJF says, "I'm better than you, I've accomplished more than you, and I did it with a scarf and a mic. You're just upset because I did it with a scarf and a microphone." I just thought that was so good. It goes back to what MJF said many moons ago when talking about all the flips and dives wrestlers putting their careers and lives on the line every single match, 10, 20 times a match. And MJF's like, I don't need to do any of that. The flips, the dives, the cute little catchphrases. I don't need any of that. I just make you feel. And I just thought that was so epic, you know, it's so true. Like Hulk Hogan wouldn't have to do a moonsault. He made you feel back in the day. Stone Cold wouldn't have to do a suicide dive. Stone Cold could stunner somebody, crack open a beer. Stone Cold made you feel. The Undertaker just had to walk to the ring. He would make you feel, not do a 360 somersault plancha. Frankensteiner through a flaming table. Taker just made you feel walking to the ring. MJF, I'll always remember that line. I just make you feel. And he's like, I just did it with a scarf and a mic, and you've had to do all these things. You've had to, burning this, burning that, using all these tools, making people bleed. You have to do all these things. I don't have to do any of that. I just thought that was easily the line of the segment. I'm better than you. I've accomplished more than you. You're upset because I did it with a scarf and a mic. MJF then tried to throw a dig at Christopher Daniels, but Page shot that down with the quickness, expressing great gratitude for Daniels. A fallen angel chant was then started up. BC was like, yes, let's go. If you're newer to the channel, new subscribers, salute, first of all, welcome. Thank you for taking a moment to smash that subscription. Hopefully the like, right? Help that algorithm. Appreciate you guys. But if you are newer to the channel, new subscriber, Christopher Daniels is up on the pedestal of pedestals. I feel the dude is a mastermind in pro wrestling's world. A lot of fans don't understand that, don't realize that. Think BC has been dropped on his dome piece a couple, too many times as a kid. But if you followed Christopher Daniels and you know his career, and I've had a chance to talk to the dude, and he's an incredible dude and a wealth of knowledge in this industry. So I always call him, I show him the utmost respect. Christopher Daniels. I think he was ahead of his time, actually. But to hear a fallen angel chant, man, was really cool. MJF would end up spitting in the face of Page, right above his right eye, man. And you could see, I thought it was his gum, which would be bad enough. It was spit. Wow, man. Needless to say, Page just goes to pelt MJF right in his dome piece, goes right after Maxwell, but Max was able to escape. Security tries to contain Page because the dude just got spit on in his face, but even security couldn't do anything. In fact, Page would end up dropping each security guard right where they stood. So that was pretty good. Page dropped all the security. And then there was a great finish to the segment as Christopher Daniels appears behind Page. And Page thinks it's more security, right? Because he's just taken all the security out. So then Page goes, or Daniels tries to turn him around. Page thinks it's another security guy. It's not. It's Christopher Daniels. So Daniels is like, whoa, hold up. Hangman was just defending Daniels. So he has utmost respect, even though he pretty much had to end his career weeks ago on Collision, which I saw that match. It was so well done. There was no way I was going to miss the end of Daniel's in-ring career, and I didn't, and I thought that was such a good, what was that, like a Texas death match, something like that. So with this respect that they have, Page like held up and showed Daniels that respect, and Daniels was like telling him off the microphone, but you could verbally hear it. Daniels was saying, do I have an exact quote actually? Yes, he says, "This is what I always wanted from you. This is what I wanted from you." So how's that for story, man? This is what I wanted from you. Daniels always saw greatness in Page, man. Because Daniel, it's no secret. Daniels is working backstage. Maybe you guys don't know that. Maybe it was secret for you. Christopher Daniels is running talent backstage, man. He's teaching all these kids, anybody that wants any, answers to questions. That wealth of knowledge is backstage, guys. Christopher Daniels is not just like a talent who's now retired and he's not a part of AEW. He's been working backstage. So he's saying, like, this is what I wanted from you. He always saw greatness in Page, but he knew Page is his own worst enemy, right? The biggest roadblock in front of Hangman Page is himself. On Page's journey, the only roadblock is the one that he put in front of himself on his own road, his own journey, his own story. That's what Daniels was trying to tell him the whole time. That is Christopher Daniels, right? He wanted Page to channel his anger, steer his goals, and focus on the bigger picture. That is Christopher Daniels in a nutshell. It's why I've always called him a mastermind in the industry. Best way to put it, he was a student of the game. He conquered the game. He then changed the game. And now he teaches the game. That's Christopher Daniels. So I don't want to go in circles on the first part of the show, but it's Christopher Daniels. If you follow this channel, you know that is an absolute check. I'm sold. But the fact that, guys, even Daniels aside, MJF and Hangman Page, they absolutely rocked this promo. I just thought the whole first segment was so good. It's what I've been asking Tony Khan to do for the longest time. Don't just start with a match, a random match, or even a hyped up promoted match. Don't just start with just some action. Wrestling has to be more like build some feuds. Put some substance into your characters. Like that. It's a television show, man. Work on your storylines and your character development. Sell your pay-per-views. That's where you put all your matches on. Of course, it's a 2-hour wrestling show. You're going to have matches. But it's a television show. You have to concentrate on character development and your storylines. Matches? I know this is going to sound wild, but it's just the truth, guys. I know it's a pro wrestling show, but wrestling matches are 1 billion% should be secondary. Character development, storylines. Sprinkle in matches. This is the way it is, man. It's just the way it is. That's why I when you start like this, much better. You can hook people into something. They can feel something much more than they would if they're just getting a random matchup. Like if you started with Orange Cassidy versus Roddy Strong, which would end up being your main event. Or even the first actual matchup of the night, which was Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata, defeating Christian, Sabian, and Nick Wayne. I believe Hook tapped out Nick Wayne. I don't know why I didn't put that in the notes, but I believe from recollection, that's what happened. Hook had the tap out. Samoa was keeping everybody at bay, making sure nobody stopped the tap out or pass out. So that was the first match of the night. No problem with it. I mean, they're trying to bulk up Samoa Joe and his crew, but I feel the next matchup should have been right after that promo because you started off hot and everybody was talking about, hey, that was good. Then you should have went into Powerhouse Hobbs versus Big Bill in a street fight. That ended up ending hour number 1. But I would have had this matchup right behind that MJF Hangman promo. I mean, that first half an hour to 45 minutes just banging out. But I do feel the Samoa Joe 6-man tag. Guys, I honestly feel it took some of the luster right out of the crowd. And people watching, because I know it did for me. We started off so hot, we took a major backseat, and then we started to get back on track with Powerhouse and Big Bill. This was just two big dudes destroying one another with a lot of objects that you would find at Home Depot or Lowe's. Sure, you had the usual suspects of objects like traditional trash cans, wooden tables, steel chairs and steel ladders, barbed wire, etc. But you also had a backpack full of bricks. A backpack full of bricks. What? You even had an actual carriage, guys. So whoever wanted to check out first, just roll your carriage to the nearest checkout line. There was a carriage out there with even more stuff. Signs, pipes, poles. It was an old school street fight. I always say, man, a street fight that's not in the street is not a street fight. But I got to tell you, Hobbs and Big Bill did a lot better than most recent street fights that I've seen in recent years. These two absolutely went at one another, very physical, used everything underneath the sun, or at least could be found in a Home Depot and a Lowe's. And when it was all said and done, Hobbs would get not a pin. Hobbs would defeat Big Bill. He would put Big Bill through a barbed wire double table. So he was standing on the steel steps, kind of choke slammed, I believe, or thrusted Cass, Big Bill, off the steel steps through these tables that had barbed wire just wrapped. So basically, Big Bill got entangled in the barbed wire, and he couldn't get out of it. That's the story that Big Bill, like he's trying, but the barbed wire has engulfed him. So the ref counts to 10, I believe. So that was odd. So Powerhouse gets the W because Big Bill couldn't get up. But is it last man standing, or is it a street fight, which is more no DQ or no holds barred, right? Or do they always do the count of? I guess they would always do the count of 10, or if nobody can get up. Do they? I don't even know, man. I don't know. I thought it was weird in the moment. You don't see too many of these type of like street fights end with like a 10 count. And I'm pretty sure that that's how this ended. I don't think Powerhouse pinned him. I think the ref counted to 10 because he couldn't get out of the barbed wire. So that had BC going, was it last man standing or was it street fight? But I'm pretty sure it was street fight. Maybe it was a botch by AEW. Like they mixed the two. Or maybe that's how it's always been and BC's just having a moment, which all apologies. But that's how that one ended, guys. Again, I would have had that as the opening bout right behind MJF and Hangman, but they decided to put this third and hour number one and go into hour number two, or hopefully they were thinking that would be a good lead-in into hour number two, which was Toni Storm. Now, I have something to say about this for sure. So Toni Storm starts hour two. Her character work is just so good. She puts her all into it, and because of that, fans can invest into it. She says, if I'm going to be the best with this title, then I have to face the best. Basically putting all the female talent in AEW on notice. Right when she said that, if I want to be the best with this title, then I'm going to have to face the best. Right when she said that, I would have brought out Mercedes Moné. No more waiting. AEW, more specifically, that women's division needs a spark. With Double or Nothing on the horizon, Double or Nothing needs to be monumental. Moné, Storm. That's it. Let's go big now. Instead, they faded to black with Storm posing. Again, as I just said in this review, Storm, her character work is just so good, and that's why fans can invest into it. We just ended with the pose, we faded to black, and that's the segment. You could have done so much more. We need a little bit more. We need something big right now. Moné is just one option. Backstage, Mercedes cuts a backstage interview with Renee Paquette. And Moné just continues to talk about and face all of these Japanese talents. I get it. She's holding several titles and ones that are tied to Japan. Not just that, this is like a dream of hers. This is what she wants to do. She wants to face Japanese talent. She loves it. She loves being in Japan. She loves facing Japanese stars. This is, I'm sure, one of the big talking points when she signed with AEW. Will I be able to do this, this, and this? I want to work Japan. I want to work these matches. And Tony Khan's like, okay. So I get it. The problem is that's not where the money is. In the US, it's not where the money is in AEW. Guys, that's a hard fact to comprehend, I understand, or to want to comprehend. But if you are newer to this channel, my veteran subscribers will tell you this channel was founded upon two individuals, Bray Wyatt, Sasha Banks. That's how high I put them on pedestals, man. I rate Mercedes Moné as the best female wrestler on the planet. I take heat on that. A lot of people are like, no, BC, but that's how I feel. So for me to say that, you know it's amplified truth. We have to have bigger matches for Mercedes. She has to feel more important, more special, more prestigious, especially if you're going to drape 26 titles over her shoulder and around her waist. Because that's not where the money is with her versus every single Japanese talent in the world. Or at least out of Japan. Mercedes is a bigger star than this, and she feels like an afterthought most of the time. Even with the 9 titles, slight exaggeration, hanging from those shoulders. The only match I truly cared about or can remember that had any relevance for most fans was the Brittany Baker match. Unfortunately, that wasn't even good. But at least the prominence of it, the stature of it, Moné versus Baker, it felt big. It had something attached to it, some type of substance, some value to it. And that's not any diss to any of the talent she is working with. It just doesn't feel big, and it's just one after the other after the other. Nobody's saying they're not going to be good wrestling matches or that it's not really good talent she's facing. It's just not where the money is, US/AEW. That's the problem. And it has to be where the money is, or where Moné is. Moné has to be where the money is. As a huge Sasha Banks and Mercedes Moné supporter, this is getting really hard to watch. And when it's not a Japanese talent that unfortunately a lot of fans, especially casuals, have never heard of, then she's facing Harley Camerons or whatever they're called. I don't even know. You going to try to bulk up a Penelope Ford match soon? You guys know this is not it, man. This can't be why they gave Mercedes so much money. You could put 100 titles on her. I'm glad she's picking up W's, and I'm glad she's got the titles, right? And that way, she's being booked like she should have been in WWE. The problem is, there's nothing attached storyline-wise that people care about. She's not doing anything of relevance, or at least that's not how it feels. And that's what this is all about, man. Mercedes should be making people feel something. They have to get that back on track. Sticking with the ladies, the next segment was so good. Willow Nightingale is being interviewed by Renee Paquette backstage. Willow is still pissed off from last week, saying that Mox took her 1 minute of precious TV time and they beat her up, right, Shafir? So right when she says that, Shafir comes out of nowhere and goes to throw another bow at her, do the same thing that they did last week. Willow was waiting, though, man, even though she came out of nowhere. Willow just starts thrusting bows right into this gal's face. I mean, just throwing, what would Bobby the Brain call them, ham and eggers? I think he actually called the fans that, too. But Shafir comes out of nowhere, and her and Willow just straight out start punching one another square in the mug. They just start popping off, guys. And I'm like, are they really drilling one another? It was so realistic. It was so well done. Shafir would get the best of Willow, and she would be laid out. I think she went face first into like the little Tron or the monitor backstage, something like that, a structure. So Willow is knocked out. The Death Riders then hit the ring. Not long after, Jay White and Cope also hit the ring, though. Cope has his spiked bat. Jay White has the steel chair. Death Riders, I think, got muffed up a little bit, but then retreated. Cope goes into Section 308 after them, finally thinks better of it and stops. Turns around, remains in Section 308, and cuts a promo like only Cope Edge can do. Edge is still fantastic, man. He's so passionate and amplified on that microphone. So I thought that was good. A lot of people try to cut promos in the stands now, but Edge made you believe in those words last night, saying he is going to win, take that title at Revolution. It is going to be a revolutionary W. So I thought that was pretty good. And we're going to stick with the ladies. Chris Statlander took on Megan Bayne. This was the closest thing to WWE's version of like Rhea Ripley versus Jordynne Grace. Megan Bayne versus Chris Statlander. These are some bigger females, man. They got some muscle in that ring. Bayne would pin Statlander with a Brock Lesnar F5. Huge assist from Penelope Ford. Penelope was out there. I think she actually like thrusted Statlander off the top rope. Set up that F5. So Penelope with the huge assist. And then things got really weird. This was easily the worst part of the show, and I'm not surprised with who it's involving, but it's unfortunate. But this just seems like it's a recurring theme. Thunder Rosa comes out. Slow. Looks like she didn't know what she was. It was so weird. Like, you guys have to see it yourself if you didn't. It's the only way to do this justice of how bizarre this was. It was bizarre. It was weird. It was awkward. She comes out slowly. Looks like she doesn't know what she's doing. She has a steel chair, and it's like she's never held one before. To the point where, and it got even more bizarre. I don't know if her and Penelope have backstage heat for real, but Penelope no-sold it and just grabs the chair. At that point, Megan and Penelope could have just did whatever they wanted with Thunder. But Megan's just like looking at him like, what are you guys doing? Penelope's just holding the chair down like, get out of here. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you going to do? Mind you, this is supposed to be a face, right? When you have a steel chair, the heels are supposed to retreat, supposedly. Penelope's laughing at her, holding down the chair. And Megan's like, what was your plan? What are you doing? Thunder Rosa is like, what happened to Rosa? She was at least better than this, wasn't she? She's like trying to tug the chair back from Penelope. Penelope only has one hand on it, holding it down. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get the chair back? It was like if you saw a couple of sisters and there's a really younger one and she's trying to play with the older sisters and they're like just fucking with her. Thunder Rosa cannot get her chair back. Penelope finally just like flicks it away, like whatever, dude. like let's let you play with your chair and Barbies. Then Thunder throws the chair at them and not even like toward them or like thrust, just like lobs it over. Like, yeah, I don't need it anyway. And I'm thinking, well, why'd you just give the heels the steel chair? I mean, they were laughing at you with the chair. That's probably why she got rid of it so quick. She's like, now I just look like a goofball. I might as well look like a goofball without the chair. But she lobs it to them. So now they have control of the chair. So then they just start laughing even more. They're like, what do you, now we have, let's just get out of here, bro. This is so stupid. Thunder Rosa looked so bad. I don't know what was up. Again, if you didn't see it, or maybe you did see it and you're like, was it that bad? Yes, go back, guys. Check it out. Because I'm interested to know, is there real heat between her and Penelope? Is that how they planned it? Do they think that worked out as planned? Maybe they do. It was bad. It was really bad. It was the worst part of the night, easily. I don't know what was trying to be accomplished. Thunder Rosa looked so bad in that segment. Even if Penelope didn't make her look so bad, Thunder just looked like she like has never been in a wrestling ring. Holding that chair, it looked like one of those celebrities that was told to do a segment real quick, and they'd never been in a ring, never held a chair. It was bad. I won't harp on it, but I don't know. I truly don't know what happened. I'm looking to get more info on that. Something just not good. And that's Thunder Rosa. Thunder Rosa has never just been that good. You know, when she started, or at least with AEW, something hasn't clicked. I know she's had good matches and she's been better than this. But with AEW, guys, there's a disconnect. Something is not working. You guys remember when she started with Evilise and they had that match, but they just stopped wrestling because they were in they didn't like one another. And they did the Cardinal thing. You can't let it play out on national television live. We were live and they just went into business for themselves and stopped selling. It was so bizarre. And then we hear the locker room just did not like Rosa. Rosa was being diva-esque or whatever. Then Rosa was out for like over a year easily, maybe a couple with a bad back. So then a lot of the talent started actually mocking her, making fun of her and saying, dude, you're not even her. What's the issue? You're back? And people claim that she should have been back way before, and she wasn't. So my point is, a lot of the locker room, there's a disconnect with Rosa. Maybe Penelope is a part of that. I don't know. But this was as bad as the segments used to be with Rosa. Very, very odd, guys. Go back, check it out. Maybe there's more info out by now by the time you guys see this upload. But I'll try to find out more, too. That was so bizarre. Then we went to... Ricochet. Oh, boy. So Ricochet cuts a promo in Swerve's robe that he stole. Nana comes out. Nana asks for it back. Rico says, you want it? Take it from me. Of course, Nana's not going to do that. And then Rico. Rico's character it's not really that far off from Rico. Like his character and he's very annoying. Rico is annoying, right? And when you get him on the microphone, very annoying. And so he ends his promo going, take it from me. Or that weird little laugh. And it's just like, oh, this fucking guy. Just stick to flipping and diving if that's the promos. It's so bad. So it was a rough promo, man. He's out there. He's trying to generate heat, right? For 5 minutes. He's talking about how Ricochet is going to be champion. That's his goal for 2025. Not when. It's if. Or no, not if. That's something he would say, right? He would botch that. It's not if, it is when, he says. Ricochet will be. I mean, dude, what are we doing? This is your heel promo? He starts to berate the crowd. You know, the best part will be leaving this city. I have a jet waiting to take me right out of this shit city. As soon as I'm done with this promo. It was just so weak. Again, if you got a moment, you probably got to check it out just to see how bad it is because BC's not embellishing. It was bad. Nana tries to get the robe back. He's like, take it from me. I don't even know. At least he wasn't dressed like the substitute teacher, right? His little suit with the pocket protector with the golden scissors, and he's got his little glasses, and he looks like a substitute teacher. So I guess that's a bonus. And then the main event, freshly squeezed orange juice returns. Cassidy defeats Roderick Strong. Freshly squeezed will now go for that international title. Post-match, too, there was a lot of extracurricular. Who was it? Callis's boys? Kenny Omega came out for the save. You could end up seeing Orange Cassidy Omega, by the way. That's another story. But Omega comes out to save Cassidy, so that was a nice pop from the crowd. I would have had a much more hot finish, right? Much more of a cliffhanger because I thought most of this show was decent to good, which is way better than a lot of the bull that you hear in the community. And I understand AEW has not been what it should be. And I understand AEW has a lot to improve. And there's a lot to rip apart. But some of the things that you hear, especially from people that have audiences and need to think more about their words, like Eric Bischoff, you know, you can't just say, oh, it'll never be anything. It's the toilet bowl of the wrestling world, and they're too far gone. And because, dude, did you get a show like this? And if I had Monday Night Raw and this, I would choose this. Are you kidding? I wouldn't even have to think twice. I wouldn't need to see a night of face versus face, heel versus heels, rematches, a main event of Balor and Rollins again. I wouldn't need to see Gunther cut a 5-minute promo and then Jey Uso yeet for 10 minutes every Monday. No, I would absolutely pick this. I would pick Big Bill and Powerhouse in that street fight. I would pick that promo from MJF and Hangman. I would watch Willow and fucking Shafir bashing each other. I'd even listen to Edge cut that promo in Section 308, dude. Toni Storm, I'd listen to her for 5 minutes rather than Gunther at this point. So yeah, it's unfortunate to say that. That's how far Raw has dropped. And I understand AEW's been miserably bad as well. But this just shows you that it ain't that far gone. You tweak things over here. You fix things over here. You change things over here. You get rid of these things. You add these things. Get the right people around. You'll get a good product. Just don't say stupid shit. Constructive, okay. The criticism can wean in and out. You could be direct. You could be frustrated. Absolutely. That's how we are as pro wrestling fans. But just make sure it doesn't become a shtick, right? Or narrative. To make sure everything you're saying is truth so that you can truly make it better. This show was not bad. You could say it wasn't good all you want. That's your prerogative. Bad is a lie. I watched it. I did my due diligence. Bad parts. Rosa, Ricochet. More of a hot cliffhanger finish. Of course. I'm not saying this was a perfect show or even great. I'm not saying the whole thing was good. Decent to good is my final take on it. For sure. Which goes against what some of the talking heads are spewing. That's my AEW 2/19/25 thoughts, man. My issue with AEW from the jump, the reason I said it wasn't my cup of coffee in totality is because it's too much too soon. We're already oversaturated with pro wrestling, and Tony Khan tried to do what Vince did in 50 years almost, right? 4 decades plus. He tried to do it in 5 years. Multiple television shows, Collision, Rampage, Dynamite, all within 5 years' time. A couple of years' time. Why do you have 3 television shows? You're a new company. Why is your talent roster at 150 and you keep signing more people? Why are you working with Japan and all these other countries and all these other shows and creating a second promotion? It's too much. I can't even keep track of it. You have all these tournaments, a trios division. I can't even keep track of tag team divisions these days. It's so bad. Trios divisions, tournament after tournament. It's too much. That was my issue with AEW all the time. Last night, I feel like they focused in on a lot of things, man. They toned it down. They spent time on the stories, character development. We need more of that. That's it. I told you it was packed, stacked, jacked. I told you this was going to be an amped up for the ages, bro. 2/19/25. That's a wrap. 44 dive. That's a wrap. Until next time, there will be that next time. BC in the unit. Saying check you. Salute.